Hello, everyone, and welcome to Humanity's Heart. My name is Dr. Robyn Mills, and my intention for today is to engage, energise, and expand your heart. I'm excited to introduce to you my special guest, Sue Lester. Clearing head trash and emotional pain is her passion. She's a mindset coach and she's worked with thousands of individuals, teams and audiences across the globe, creating lasting behavioural change through mindset shifts. Sue is the author of the book, The Face Within, How to Change Your Unconscious Blueprint. And I think one of the most amazing things in that introduction is we're talking about permanent change. This is really exciting. Hello, Sue.
Hi, Robyn. Great to be here. And I need to apologise. It's incredibly humid here in Queensland, so my hair hasn't dried. And if my face slides off, don't panic. It's just my makeup disappearing.
Because right now you're in floods in New South Wales and it would be steamy and hot.
New South Wales and in Queensland, we've got floods as well. So, yes,
yeah,
it is. But all good.
So welcome. I'd really love you to talk about mind shifting and how you've come to this.
Oh, goodness, that's quite a journey. As most of us, we start with clearing our own stuff. And I call it head trash, actually, because it's actually a term that one of my clients gave to me. He's quite a successful business coach, and he invited me to step up and speak to or attend a workshop he was doing for 40 of his clients. And he called me up on stage to introduce me. And he went, "Hi, guys, meet Sue. She clears my head trash." I thought, wow, I'll have that. Because it's a perfect way of describing it. So for me, I was looking for tools and techniques, something I could use to help me in my job at the time, which was working with youth mentoring programs. So I was a state coordinator, recruiting, screening, training, supporting over 200 adult mentors, training our teams to train their students that I would match with the mentors. So I needed some extra skills. And that's when I came across NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. And that was the start of my journey, because I loved the results I was getting for myself. And I found I was actually really good at using the techniques with other people. Doing trainings, I'd have the crew coming up to me and getting me to do processes with them during the breaks. So it was from there. And then I launched into my own business. And that was 14 years ago now, I think, something like that. And it's just grown and morphed over that time. I love learning new modalities, so I keep adding different skills to my toolkit, so to speak. Sorry, I can just talk. So interrupt.
Yeah. So it's like a Sara Lee cake, isn't it? Layer upon layer upon layer. You keep adding and redefining and adding, and in the end, you have something that's just you, because it's made up from the conglomeration of things that you've learned.
Absolutely. And it means then when I'm working with someone, I can tune in to what they need. And then I've got such a range of modalities to pick and choose from. So I can just go with their flow rather than being stuck in my own rut. So I found that quite empowering for myself and my clients over the years.
Rumination. When you say head trash, I love that, clearing the head trash. That rumination can be the downfall of many of us, that going over and over and over something someone might have said to you 20 years ago, or when you were a small child, or having your brain go over and over it and create new neural pathways for it as you grow older. So to be able to cut that off and to put it out to rest, to change it, what do you have to do that?
Firstly, understand that memories change. The only moment that actually is real is right here, right now. Everything else exists up here in our imagination. And, it can be stored in our heart and our gut and other parts of our body. But basically, this is real. Everything else isn't. And you may have noticed when you remember something from the past, how you remember it depends on how you're feeling at the time. So a classic is an old relationship. So if you're feeling happy and loved and confident and strong in the present and you remember back, that's very different to if you're feeling sad and lonely and unloved in the present and remember back. And that's why people will go back into relationships, because, you know, when you're sad and lonely, anyone will do, and he wasn't so bad or she wasn't so bad. And then you get back into the relationship and you go, oh, yeah, that's why I left. So, you know, memories shift and change over time. So it's not saying that event didn't happen in the past. Of course it happened. But how it happened, why it happened, how you remember it may have shifted over time. And other people that were in the event at the same time would have had a different perspective of it at that time. And since then, their memories have shifted and changed too. So it's the biggest waste of emotional energy and time is to try and convince someone that your memory of an event is true.
And that's so important in eyewitness accounts. We hear that there can be 4 people at some sort of crime, and each of them has a different memory of what colour the person was wearing, what they actually did, who participated, because each of us perceive that environment in a different way.
Because we see at work, well, we see and we create our reality through the filters. Because there's so much information coming in through all of our senses 24/7, we actually can't process it without going mad. So we've developed these neural filters, and those filters just tune out what's not really important to us. So we create our reality based on our memories, our beliefs, our experiences from the past. And that's, you know, that filters what we see. So 2 people can see exactly the same thing, but don't, because they're picking up on different things. When I lived in London, we were in this little house tucked away. And one night, you know, across the, above the front door was this glass, and someone had climbed up on the wall and was peering in through. It was such a fright. So I called the police. I couldn't actually tell them whether the person had white or dark skin, because I knew it was a man. I could tell the age, what he was wearing, but the skin color, it wasn't something I'd actually filtered for, which was very frustrating for the police. But I just didn't see the skin color. It just wasn't important. So I didn't notice it, which is a bit bizarre when you think about it. But anyway, but we pick and choose what we notice. So it's important to understand, because I see, and some of the people I work with are stuck in their memories of the past, and they use that for a reason, for being unhappy in the present. And then that, of course, creates the future that is also unhappy. And unfortunately, by blaming someone else, it gives you a great scapegoat to avoid taking responsibility. And that will be an ouch for some listeners. But once you take responsibility, and taking responsibility means taking your personal power back. So reclaiming it, because as soon as you blame someone for things going wrong, you give your personal power to that person. So that's giving them control over your happiness, over your present, over your future, over your financial freedom, so many aspects of your life, your ability to create a new loving relationship. You've given that power to that person. So by you taking responsibility, you basically claw your personal power back. Doesn't mean that they what they did was right or excusable or by any means, but it's in the past. Leave it there, get your learnings, and take you and your personal power forward into the future.
So in that way, it's a clear future, you know, not it feels like it's an old coat that you've been living out of and wearing all that time, and then come to you and do a process and leave that coat off, and the future's clear, because it's the present is clear. Would be
present is clear.
Yeah,
you've got more of an idea of what your futures look like, and more hope that you can actually create it the way you want. And sometimes people need some work and support to find themselves again in the present, because they've spent so many years being that victim not taking responsibility, or just being caught up in so much emotional pain they can't think or see or feel straight. So it's, getting rid of all that head trash and all that emotional pain to make the shiny person inside, because there's a shiny person inside all of us.
That's the face within.
Yes, the face within is your actual internal image of yourself. It can also be your internal image of other people. We have unconscious blueprints of other people too, and that can certainly impact on our relationships, whether you are intimidated by them or you put them on a pedestal, which automatically puts you down below, or whether it's someone that you actually are dismissive of, or despise is a strong word, but if you put someone down below you, well, you're disempowering them, but in doing so you're also disempowering yourself, because you're missing out on seeing and utilizing all their talents and strengths to help you. And unconscious blueprints of other people certainly come into impacting relationships. So, for example, I work with women who lost passion for their partners, and then when we have a look, maybe he's become one of those annoying teenagers. So that's the image she's got of him. There's nothing sexy about an irritating teenager who has to be picked up after, and that's one example, and that can be shifted and taken. I mean, I can turn him back into that sexy stud muffin you married. So, and shift the dynamics that way. So, yeah, my work on the unconscious blueprints has just been fascinating over the years. Just so exciting to see the impact it has on people, how they see themselves, and then how they show up in the world. And some people get trapped with unconscious blueprints from their past. When they might have a 4-year-old or a 14-year-old when they're really in their 40s. So shifting that makes an enormous difference. They can show up as an adult rather than show up as a small child in an adult body.
Oh, that's really profound. That is profound. And it's easy to recognize it in other people, and perhaps a little harder to recognize it in yourself. And that's when people are supported by going to someone like you.
And that's why I wrote my book, The Face Within, How to Change Your Unconscious Blueprint. So you don't necessarily have to come to me. You can read the book and get an understanding and get things shifting and moving. And when you're ready to make some serious change quickly, then come to me.
Perfect. So I'm wondering how this work has affected you personally. Who are you in this world? Well,
this is my legacy. This is my purpose. So to my mind, anyone's purpose is simply to be the best them possible. You don't have to go looking for your purpose. It's actually in you. Just, shine all the bits that, all your talents and anything you're good at, anything you feel connected to, that's your purpose, to, strengthen and bring that out more in the world. So once I started on this work, it just felt like I'd come home. This is something that's meaningful. It creates a difference in the world. I feel good about myself. I know that when I work with you, for example, I'm not just working with you, I'm working with your spouse, your kids, your grandkids, the people at the corner store, your whole ripple, it's that ripple on effect out and down generations. So that's incredibly satisfying. And it's not something I can imagine myself retiring from. It's something so that, to me, that's a sign that I've finally got it right, because I used to change careers every 5 years.
Me too.
Next. Reinvent myself. Yeah, what's next? Yeah, not quite right. So this has morphed over the 14 years, but it's still within using the same sorts of modalities.
So who would you say has influenced your life the most in that journey?
Oh, my parents come to mind. Support, even though they didn't understand, for dreams unfulfilled. And my grandmother comes into that too. Life is actually really short. It might seem like it's really long. It might seem like a drag. You suddenly get to a point where it's actually really short. And that's for those of us that are blessed to be still living. obviously people's lives get cut short with disease and accidents and other things. So it's making the most of the time you've got and following your heart, but not just your heart. So one of the modalities I studied was multiple brain integration techniques. Getting your head, your heart, and your gut in alignment. Because if you just follow your heart, you can get into all sorts of trouble and start rescuing people who would actually be better off if you stepped back and left them alone, simply because they've got their own lessons to learn. And usually stepping in rescuing them doesn't help them, it just delays their growth. You need the logic and the communication skills and the common sense of your head. You need your gut, your identity, your courage, your ability to move forward. Otherwise, if you're just stuck in your heart, you can end up wallowing in a lot of pain and not feel like you're able to do anything. So getting those three in alignment was something quite powerful that I learned off the founders of MBIT and M-Braining, Grant Susalu and Marvin Oka. So they were significant. But I've had so many coaches, mentors, trainers, teachers, books I've read, it's just, I just take it all on board, and I often don't even know, can't even remember whose book it was or who said what. It just comes out of my mouth. So, like a little sponge, you squeeze me and something comes out.
And what I love about living now is the MBIT information, is heart math, is all the things that are available now that until I started interviewing people recently, some of these things I hadn't heard of. So the fact that living in this generation now, we have so much more knowledge and understanding that we can draw on, which is helping people shift more quickly because we understand it better. Whereas before it might have been going to a psychologist and talking through your issues again and again and again. And now that we know these other things like the heart and the gut all have intelligences and everything needs to be in balance. I love being alive at this point. It's fantastic.
It is. And it's that awareness, because what you're aware of, then you can actually put to good use. What you're aware of in yourself, you can actually change. And that's the thing, we can no longer use that excuse. That's who I am. That's how our family always does it. That might be so, but it doesn't mean you can't change. Because, you can shift and change. Our bodies are renewing every moment of the day. You can retrain those synapses that you were talking about, retrain our brains. No excuses, which is scary for a lot of people, but you don't have to do it alone. There's enough people that are trained, and if something, a modality or a practitioner doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. It's just not for you. You explore other avenues, other options.
And I think mostly, Sue, people are drawn to the right practitioner, to the right knowledge. Somehow you meet someone and you think, oh, I could really work with her. Something about the resonance with something within you awakens and goes, I think I could work with that person or that theory. And
if you're aware.
Right, okay.
And pay attention. Because some people don't. I could be working with a new client, for example, and I can see by their face and what their eyes are doing that they've got the answer, but they're not verbalizing it because inside they've got to check, that can't possibly be the answer. That's too easy. That's not what I think. I don't know where that came from. So you're in that internal battle. So it's giving ourselves permission to allow ourselves to be aware and to follow that little message that you're talking about and say, oh, yeah, she sounds interesting, or he sounds like exactly what I need. Follow that path, explore a bit more. And for those listeners who have gone down the path of psychologists, particularly with COVID and everything, and you can get free or supplementary sessions through GP referrals. Even through that path, just know you don't have to stick with the person you're given. If you go along and have 1 or 2 sessions and it just doesn't feel right, ask to be matched up with someone else, referral to someone else. You actually are allowed to do that. because you're not going to get any benefits by persevering if there's really it's not a match, doesn't feel right.
That's such a good suggestion to people, because it is about resonating with the person that you're working with, because it's about trust, to trust that their knowledge and their wisdom and their way of working is going to work with you and bring about the change that you want to. I loved hearing you talk about change, because I love change. I used to be so afraid of change. And now I go, bring it on, because our bodies are changing. As you said, our cells, millions of cells are dying and being reborn as we're speaking right this minute. And so our bodies, to survive, have to change. And so therefore, for our minds to also have the ability to change, that's a great gift that we have. So I love to embrace change.
So to me, that's a sign that you've developed self-confidence. You've actually got a strong enough sense of self and self-belief to know that you can cope with change. Because when people don't like or resist change, it's because they don't feel like they can cope with it, that they're not smart enough or not young enough or not something enough to manage that change. So they resist it because they want to stay safe where they know, even if that little safe area is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, So when you're helping someone who is resisting change, whether it's a friend or family member, it's just being aware of why they might be resisting change and helping them feel safe to make that next step, even though the next step is just a tiny little one.
And certainly people stay in toxic relationships, toxic work environments, even though they know it's toxic and they know it's not good for them, because of the fear of stepping into something that of the unknown.
Fear of the unknown. And I know when I was in that situation, part of it was because I was used to hopping from career to career. But there were a couple of times I got stuck simply because I was just so exhausted. I just didn't have the energy to reinvent myself again. So it's being aware of that too. And taking time out to build yourself up.
True.
So in terms of career changes, sometimes the sensible thing is to stay with what you're doing and build up your skills in something else. But for me, when I was staying in this business, I had to leave it. I just literally didn't have an ounce of anything for anything else apart from, my current career. So I had to leave that before I could start something else.
When you're in the flow like that, Sue, when you step, I find, as I was explaining to you when I decided to start the interviews, that once I opened the floodgates, and I was on the right path, it just happened. So
still felt like jumping off a cliff, hoping I'd learn to fly before I hit bottom. But I had a coach, and another coach who kept yelling from the sidelines, "Flap, you can do this."
That's great. So I'm wondering about what makes your heart sing. Travel.
Aside from my work, I love my
travel.
Work. Travel. Yeah, so that's a bit of a bummer at the moment.
Yes.
For a few years. But I've done a lot of traveling all over the world, and that always makes my heart sing.
Where have you been?
Where have I been? Done lots within Australia, New Zealand, New Guinea, Asia, Indian subcontinent, trekked in Nepal a few times, in Ladakh in India. Lived in London for a few years, been through Africa quite a few times around the east and southern areas, South America. Haven't been to Antarctica yet. There's still lots of places on my list.
I can see that you've been nearly everywhere.
I've been nearly every country, but not everywhere. Yeah. There's so many places, and so many places I'd like to go back to, because they change over time. So travel's always been a passion since before I could read. I was interested in other cultures and other places, so that's a big passion. And I love my work. I love being outside in nature. I love being able to walk along the beach in the morning before work. So those sorts of things make my heart sing. And babies. I love holding babies.
Babies. The
Babies.
unconditional love of my grandchildren. I say it in every show, really. It's just heart-opening. It's incredibly heart-opening to experience the love of any baby, never mind one that's your grandchild. And the beach. I love going to the beach at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning and watch the sunrise.
Yes.
And
Beautiful.
I just feel so lucky that I get to see the dawn of the day. You know, it's just incredible.
Okay, so it's not luck, it's a choice.
It's a choice. I choose to get out of bed and I choose to go to the beach and just sit and bathe myself.
And you choose to live somewhere so you can go to the beach. But
So,
the dawn, absolutely choice. Everyone can do that.
yes. Yes. And I think when most people are snoring and I'm at the beach, it's just so incredibly beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm wondering, Sue, if you were towards the end of your life and you were looking back, how would your heart say that you lived your life?
By that stage, hopefully fully, because I'm not fully yet. Still lots to do. So what I would hate would be to look back with regrets. Regrets about things I hadn't done. I don't think there's any point regretting things you've done, because at least you were doing something, you were taking action, you were trying something different. Not everything's going to work, not every relationship's going to work. But you give it a go, give it your best shot, learn from it, and then move on. So my grandmother was a big inspiration, or big motivation actually, to for me to leave my first marriage, because my grandpa, we were in her kitchen and my grandpa was in the bedroom behind us dying. And my grandma was one of these tough women, not sentimental at all, quite tough. But her eyes filled with tears, and she said, I guess I'm never going to go across on the train to Western Australia in wildflower season. And that'd been her dream since she was little, to do that. She wouldn't do it without my grandfather. So that was, a dream just gone. And to me, I already had Africa and Europe and all sorts of things on my radar. And it seemed such a small dream, but big for her. So I decided then, I wasn't going to let anything stop me from living my dreams, because I didn't want to get to her age and just, as a Dervla Murphy author described it, as a heart full of the shattered glass of vanquished dreams.
That's profound.
Yes, in that, and I never wanted to get to that point. So I made choices following my heart. Sometimes my heart and my gut ran away with my passport, left my head brain behind, but, trying to get in alignment. So I was actually taking action and living my life and being the best me possible and doing more good than harm. So I guess I get to that point where I can look back and, happy.
So it seems to me, in listening to you, Sue, that you really have brought goodness into humanity's heart. Often I ask people the question, what do you think you've brought to humanity's heart? I feel like I know the answer, but I will ask you anyway.
In some cases, hope. In some cases, like some of the clients are just, I've lost words, but I just saw a vision of someone and the case around them cracking open and the light coming out. So I've actually got a compliments journal, which I write down nice things that people have said, clients, people I meet, whatever, just for those dark days, just to remind myself that actually, what I'm doing does make a difference. Because I'm human, I can forget that.
Yeah.
So and actually one of my favorite testimonial, for want of a better word, success story, where I had a client come onto a call and she was in tears, but they were actually happy tears, because she said a little 5-year-old had said to her, literally just before coming on the call, Mummy, I like that you're not angry anymore.
Wow.
And it's just like, oh. So, yeah, the impact on children, grandchildren.
That is
Because
beautiful.
that's changed her little daughter's life. She's only
Yeah.
little, but it also changed how the daughter parents. And you know that ripple on effect down. Another short one is Sue saved our marriage, which is, you know.
Yeah, that's an incredible gift, isn't it? To be able to help people come to that best version of themselves. Spread joy, spread love, you know, making a difference in humanity's heart. Just knowing that when you leave a heart print in the world, in each of those people that you've made a difference to or helped them find their own difference, in each of those times you've left your heart print, you've left a little bit of yourself in those people that they recognise the beauty and the joy in themselves.
It's a lovely way of looking at it.
I
know
feel,
clients have said when they've read my book, it's like hearing my voice in their ear.
yes. Well, while we're on your book, why don't you tell people where they can get your book or where they could contact you?
Actually, I was meant to have it's behind me.
It's a very neat office.
And this is my
Other way, move it the other way a little.
perhaps if I plug it in.
That's better.
See that?
Lovely. Yes.
So the face within, how to change your unconscious blueprint. It's available on my website, suelester.com. It's also available ebook, audiobook, and via print on all the online bookstores.
I love audio because I love to be able to listen to things when I walk. That's a really good thing.
So yeah, that was a long time coming, but it came out last year, the audiobook.
I'm wondering, as we're coming towards the end of the interview, so I'm wondering whether there's something that your heart or your head or your gut wanted to say that I haven't asked you.
They're quite happy, actually.
That's good, because it's been really lovely to get to know you in a conversation and to hear the difference that you make in the world that then makes the difference to you, and that, you know, that you're this person who travels the world and that brings you joy, but also being present to other people and making a difference to them also brings you joy. So I feel this. Go on.
I've got the message through now. I should mention that if any of the listeners do want to have a chat about making changes in their life, on my website, suelester.com, there's an option there. You can click and book a complimentary time.
And I think they're going to love it. They will love it. It just sounds gentle, loving, easy, but profound at the same time.
So I can give tough love if that's what you need, but always ask permission when we start.
That's right.
And I can recognise BS a mile away, you know. And I'm not afraid of tears. Can't use that one.
I think that if anyone takes up that offer and contacts you, that you will really make a difference for them.
I hope so. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being part of this conversation on Humanity's Heart.
My pleasure, Robyn.
So my name's Dr. Robyn Mills, and I hope that today somehow we engaged or expanded your heart or energised it, and that until we meet again, may your heart beat to the rhythm of humanity's heart. Bye for now. Bye, Sue.
Bye.